Just a friendly reminder, CCR Weekly is a variety show where we will talk about the news that is currently going on, as well as topics in the Bible that people really want to know about. If you are here, just a friendly reminder, CCR Just a friendly reminder. Just a friendly reminder, CCR Weekly is a variety show where we will talk about the news that is currently going on, as well as topics in the Bible that people really want to know about. If you are here just for the Bible topic, I completely understand. However, I do ask that you be patient with us as we get through the news, because we are watchmen on the wall, and Jesus commanded us to watch, and that is what we want to help you do as well. So we will get to the biblical topic, but we are going to save that for last, as it is the most crucial and important topic that we have. Thank you so much for all your support and your patience, and we look forward to hearing from you in our live chat. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you real soon. Never forget that none of us can go through this walk alone.
This has been the best shape I've ever been in my whole life.
I get further and further in. By the time I hit the 90 days, I had lost right at 30 pounds.
Hello everyone, Adam here. Now, I haven't done any videos for
ours that are so encouraging and can help you in your walk as well. So make sure you guys check out shakeandwakeradio.com, nystv.org, truthradioshow.com, and if you want to delve deep into the doctrine of Christ and what it is, we highly recommend you check out the Doctrine of Christ series on the Jimmy Vision YouTube channel, and you can find a link to their website in their show notes as well. Tons of resources for you at all of these places. Make sure you guys check out FOJCradio.com for tons of stuff that just delves into the Bible front to back, and they have tons of resources that can help you as well. Thank you so much for all your support, and God bless every single one of you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Course Correction Radio. My name is Trey Harris. Thank you for joining me this evening. Boy, do we have, at least in what is my opinion, a very fascinating show for you. We're going to be talking about... Let me turn that down. We're going to be talking about some more about Hillsong and, well, really, the entire Australian government a little bit. We're going to be focusing on the Prime Minister because, boy, is this guy sketchy. And most people probably will not even realize it. But before we get to that, I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. So far I see Catherine. Hey, welcome you guys, Catherine, Lariva, Michael, all of you guys. So great to see you guys again. I missed being able to do the show with you guys live last week because, last week was my daughter's birthday. And so we went out and, she wanted to eat in a fancy restaurant, which apparently to her is Zaxby's, the chicken place. I'm not sure if any of you guys have Zaxby's, but it's really popular around here. That's what she wanted. So that's where we took her. And then we took her back to the arcade. And she had a blast. So, and then yesterday we had a big get together at the house for both girls. My oldest just turned 6 last week. And as a matter of fact, next Monday is my anniversary. And then 3 days after that is my middle child. She turns 4. So busy month. Wouldn't change it for the world. Very excited about it. So, and this is a great time for me to announce next week, Saturday night, we're going to start our new time slot. So hopefully that's not too confusing for you guys. We are going to be we're going to start live streaming the show on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the reason for that so I'm not sure if you guys can see my little area. You probably can't see much of it. But right here, so just to give you, right here, this is a wall. And then right here it goes, and then just off camera is the other wall. So I'm in a tiny little space. Now, next week, I'm going to be in this huge vaulted room. Hopefully, I'll be adding a few more cameras and everything, because the goal is to get more people interacting on the show. And, you know, we're going to be in a bigger space. And because of that, we're going to have to move the time, because that room is actually, during the day, is heavily trafficked. So, but at nighttime, it's completely empty. We're going to use that room. So, I also just want to give a shout out real quick. I see Diana and Brian in the chat. Welcome, guys. Great to see you here in the live chat. So, but guys, I gotta get rolling. So, because I've only got till 6 o'clock, and I want to make sure we can get in as much as we can. So, and then hopefully that'll be another thing with next week. Once we go to Saturday nights, we'll be able to go till about 10:30 or 10:50 at the latest. That way we're getting off right in time for the midnight ride, which where I'm at starts at 11. So it'll be perfect, because I don't want to take up those guys' time. That show is fantastic, and I don't want to keep any of you guys from it, because I know y'all love it probably more than I do. So without any further ado, let's come over here, and let me see. All right, here we go. Oh, whoops. Let's see. So let's go over here to the screen share, and oops, let's do this. Sorry guys, you're not going to be able to see the screen share unless I fix it. So give me just a second. We have been cleaning up the house that we, yesterday being the Sabbath, we, just let it stay a wreck after the party, and we've been, other than necessary sanitation things, all the, the gifts, all that got put away today. So we've been working on that. So let's go right here. Before we do anything else, I want just you guys, if you don't mind, and you haven't already, check out metanoionmedia.substack.com. This is where, as you can see, this is last week's show, CCR Weekly number 19, Brian Houston, Hillsong, and the New World Order, Part 1. Now, this title will be revised to Part 2 later, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about Brian Houston, Hillsong, and the New World Order, Part 2, and this is where Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister of Australia, really comes into it. So, but you guys, because I know last time when this show went up on YouTube a few days later, one of the big things I was hearing is that people weren't getting notifications of the show, and this is really our way to fix that, especially until we can start doing live streams on Rumble, but I don't know how long that's going to be. So what you can do is, and by the way, the videos will be uploaded here as well, so you'll be able to get the videos and the audio, as well as any articles that we may be writing. We're working on one right now, that'll probably come out in the next week. It was supposed to come out last week, but there's just so much information that's in it. It's going to be like about, Mitt Romney and his ties to Robert Maxwell, and a few other things. That'll be coming out next week. You'll get all of that sent directly to your email. So if you'll head over there, Metanoion Media, that's Metanoion with an N on the end, metanoionmedia.substack.com, and that's going to be the new site we're going to be pushing everything over to. And eventually, all of the coursecorrectionradio.com stuff will go under there. But without any further ado, let's get into this. I'm going to play this video real quick, and we're going to kind of, I'll let you hear this, and then we'll do some commentary on this, and we'll keep going. So let's do this.
We are a proud liberal democracy. We believe in a world order that favours freedom and that supports the dignity and free expression of all people. We believe in human rights, in gender equality and the rule of law, and we back that up with how we pursue these things. We are a proud liberal democracy. We believe in a world order that favours freedom and that supports the dignity and free expression of all people. We believe in human rights, in gender equality and the rule of law, and we back that up with how we pursue these things in our own country, in our own society, and how we raise our own children. Australia was one of 8 countries only involved in the drafting of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and we continue to strengthen the international human rights system. And we will continue to raise our voice on important issues like the rights of women and girls, the rights of Indigenous peoples, because respecting the rights and freedoms of the individual is intrinsically important. It is fundamental to our values as a people and as a nation. It lifts all societies and nations too, delivering better outcomes through economic inclusion.
So if you get vaccinated, there will be special rules that apply to you.
Women's empowerment, environmental sustainability, rising living standards, and so much more. Australians' actions are guided by our belief in the inherent dignity of all people, everywhere, no matter the circumstances. Mr. President, we learned through the pandemic that every moment of challenge requires us to think anew, to engage with each other, to learn as you go. It is an experience understood by many others. And so we will continue to meet this moment with dialogue. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, so that was Scott Morrison. That was the Prime Minister of Australia. Now, you would never know it from watching that, but Scott Morrison is a proud Pentecostal who believes that he was put in that position because he was, quote, called by God. You never know that watching that video. And if you're listening on Shake and Wake Radio or on the audio podcast, let me just give you a rundown of what you just saw. That was Scott Morrison, Prime Minister of Australia, talking about human rights and freedom and all of these things, while video of the Gestapo-like police force in Australia beat people, ripped masked people out of their cars, and, talked about women's rights while women's were being jerked around and abused by the totalitarian police force that was there. This guy believes he was put in this position and was called by God to lead Australia. And look, Michael, you're absolutely right. Which God called Scott Morrison? And I believe by the end of the broadcast, it will be clear to anybody that this was not the capital G God of the Bible, but rather the little g God, the God of this world, Satan, that called Scott Morrison, and we're going to show you that, and we're going to show you that that is the same God. Now, many of you guys know this, so bear with me, but for those of you who may not know this, we're going to show you without a doubt that Satan is the God that is worshiped inside every single Hillsong church without exception. Now, let's go to this. So basically, I'm actually going to do these a little bit out of order. So if I mentioned this in last week's show, God in the Lodge is a series of articles that has come out by Crikey, which is an independent news source in Australia. They're not very pro Scott Morrison. They're also very, they're very secular minded, which is, it is what it is. Now, I have to clarify something. It talks about God in the Lodge here, and you can kind of see the occult symbolism in that. But the lodge they're talking about, that's actually the name of the house that the Prime Minister of Australia stays in. Now, I wonder how it got the name The Lodge. I'm sure there's no coincidence there, and I can prove to you that it's not a coincidence. Just bear with me. So basically, let's look at this. It says, so this is the first one. This is Rudd says, Morrison should not be attacked for his faith, but he should tell us how it affects his politics. Now, this one's really interesting. It says, now this is dangerous. Now, keep in mind, this guy claims to be a Pentecostal, and he was called by God. This article, the headline is, "It's time to call it out. Scott Morrison doesn't care about secular accountability," which is, here's the thing. To an extent, all of us should not be worried about secular accountability, because ultimately we all answer to Jesus Christ and Him alone. He should be our highest accountability. However, the Bible does talk about how especially when it doesn't go against the Bible, there are proper authorities. Romans 13 talks about, you are subject to the higher authorities. And, we've showed in the past that, yes, that is, in fact, about the governors and the magistrates that are in charge of countries and things like that, as long as they're not breaking God's law to do it, which, let's face it, these days most of them are. So, but here is the thing, is that, a government needs checks and balances. And you even see a very loose form of this in, you see this delegation of power even in the Bible, because, Moses was answering all these things. Jethro pulls him aside and he says, look, you're going to go crazy doing all this. Let's get you some guys to help you out. Like, that's how these things work. There needs to be a delegation of power, and the guy at the top should be held accountable by the lesser magistrates. That's kind of what the doctrine of lesser magistrates that we talked about was about. It was to make sure that the ruler of a country did not be tyrannical with their power, because you do not have the right to be tyrannical. Just because you believe God put you there or whoever put you there does not give you the right to rule with an iron fist. We're all accountable to God and to His word, whether you believe you are or not. So, there needs to be some common sense version of accountability here on earth, whether it's secular or what. I just, to me, that makes sense. There were these lesser magistrates and things like that. So, especially here, now, I don't know about Australia, but here we're supposed to have checks and balances. We don't. But look, this is a good word. I want to show you this article. I really want to hone in on this one. So it says, the Prime Minister has never shied away from making his faith known, but it's the cryptic references, the hidden meanings that speak volumes about his mentality. Now, you got to understand, Australia, to you or I, these are not going to seem cryptic or hidden, but to Australia, which is a very secular nation, this stuff's going to come across as odd. So let's look, let's come down here and look. Just as chosen by God. And this is a quote. This is a quote from, Scott Morrison. He says, Joel, I really feel that it's what the Lord wants. He wants me to become Prime Minister. as retold in 2021 by Joe Abell, former Hillsong pastor and friend of Morrison, recalling a conversation with Morrison circa 2006. By the way, there's video of this you can find on YouTube, on Crikey's YouTube channel. Just so you guys know, I'm showing my receipts here. So it says, my wife believed Morrison was called by God to replace me. Former member for Cook Bruce Baird, reflecting on how Morrison entered Parliament. Use what God has put in your hand. Morrison recalling the advice he received from Hillsong pastor Brian Houston well before he entered Parliament. The phrase refers to the rod God placed in Moses' hand as a symbol of God's presence and power. On the surface, this seems fine, but you always look, there's something sinister going on here. We have this man with this totalitarian reign on Australia who believes he was put there by God. That is so dangerous. And look, this goes back. You know, what did Jesus say? He said, you'll be delivered up into the synagogues and before the councils, right? You know, you'll be placed before these guys for judgment. You'll be beat. And the people that are doing it will believe they're doing the work of God. Guys, prophecy is being fulfilled right in front of us. And the sad part is that most of the people in the modern evangelical churchianity church have no clue what is going on. They just think it's business as usual. Let me go see the next Marvel movie, you know. Let me see what Tony Stark's up to, because, by the way, if you didn't know it, Tony Stark was just revealed to be the Antichrist in Marvel Comics. I kid you not, he is the son of Mephisto, who is Marvel's equivalent of Satan. And yeah, guess what happened? Howard Stark, who was modeled after Walt Disney and Jack Parsons in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is the head of this clandestine satanic billionaires cult, and he sold his son's soul to the devil for him to be the smartest man in the Marvel world. You cannot make this stuff up, but this is the stuff that people in these modern day churches care about. Do I like to watch movies? Yes. I took my daughter a few months ago to see the new Spider-Man movie, but let's look at it this way. You know, and look, people can disagree with me taking my daughter to go see that. That's fine, you know. That's, you know, we all have a right to our opinion there. But, you know, do I sit here and worship these movies and it consumes my reality? Absolutely not. I like to watch a movie here and there, you know, especially because, you know, I talk about this stuff. I'm always looking for that predictive programming, that symbolism. I love to break it down. So, I mean, you know, but different story. My point is that this is the stuff that people in modern churches care about, and they're too blind to see what is actually happening in front of them. They're not being watchmen on the wall, which is a huge problem because they're going to be caught like a thief. You know, Jesus is coming back like a thief in the night. They're going to be asleep. Their linen robes are going to be lit on fire, and they're going to be running away naked, and everybody's going to see their shame. Because, yeah, that's what being a thief in the night actually means. It doesn't mean you're going to get raptured. That's ridiculous. So look, you see it right here. From Hillsong pastor Brian Houston, who is now former Hillsong pastor Brian Houston, because he covered up for his father's molestation of children, and he had inappropriate dealings with 2 women in the past 10 years in his church that we know of. So, you know, these are the people that Scott Morrison, who claims to be this Christian chosen by God that's running Australia into the ground. You know, these are the people he surrounds himself with. So let's keep going. You know, God's kingdom. Righteousness would exalt the nation. Morrison and his fellow Pentecostal and close friend Stuart Robert prayed that righteousness would exalt the nation in the minutes before Morrison was made prime minister in August 2018 by the Liberal Party, rumors revealed in Nikki Sava's book, Plots and Prayers. Sava wrote that Morrison had also asked his receptionist to text his wife Jenny to ask that his family pray for him as he headed into a prayer session with Robert. Great. What's wrong with a with Prime Minister praying? Absolutely nothing. What's wrong with him hoping that righteousness would exalt the nation? Nothing. The problem is, what God are you praying to? Whose righteousness are you asking for? And ultimately, are you going to practice what you preach? And the answer for Scott Morrison for all of those is a resounding no. No, he doesn't practice what he preaches. And is obviously not praying to the God of the Bible, because look at the absolute satanic tyranny that is going on in Australia. By the way, this will probably get removed from YouTube before we're even done, but you know what? I don't care at this point. You guys can check us out on metanoionmedia.substack.com. If we can't upload to YouTube, you will always be able to find our videos uploaded there. If nothing else happens, please make sure you are subscribed, because that's where you're going to find our content once we get kicked off of here. And yeah, it's coming. You best believe it. So, because we haven't even gotten into the meat of this yet. So, he's always believed in miracles, and look, for some Christians, that's enough. Oh, hey, this guy believes in miracles. He must be a Christian. But, the Bible says that, there will be lying signs and wonders. I can think, let's see, Matthew 24, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and Revelation chapter 13 come to mind. So, look, guys, if you're watching this and you have no idea what we're talking about, it's time to wake up. Wake up. That's why we're so glad to be a part of the Shake and Wake Radio Network, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to shake you awake and make you realize that this stuff is real. This stuff is real. Look, guys, the playtime is over. Playtime's over. We got to people have got to know what's going on, because where's this one? I want to show you this one, because this is the one that I think should absolutely terrify anybody who's not actually ready for Jesus' return. So look, there's this, he said that he believes that his rule was for such a time as this, quoting from the book of Esther, where about the potency of rising to the challenge in a dangerous moment. Like, guys, this is just twisted. So, let's see. I'm trying to find, where's it at? So here's where it talks about, in his first speech to Parliament, Morrison named a half a dozen men of religion. In addition to Baird, there were local church leaders, the Reverend Ray Green, Uniting Church, and Hillsong pastors Brian Houston and Lee Coleman. So we're seeing there's heavy ties with Hillsong here, and that's a huge problem. By the way, next week, we're going to be taking a look at the Discovery Plus documentary on Hillsong. I'm going to be looking at that this week, and I believe Sarah's supposed to be on with us. We're going to break it down and talk about it. So that'll be next Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be on the lookout for that. So we saw the righteousness will exalt a nation. There's another one I wanted up here. So, there's the chosen by God. But basically there was one where he believed that... I wish I could find it, because he said that he believed that the worldwide revival would break out of Australia. Question is, what revival for what God? So with that in mind, let's check this out. So if you're not familiar with it, this is a guy who back in 2016 was a member of Hillsong London. And I just have to tell you, and I should have said this before the last video, I'm so sorry. If you have children in the room, you might either want to stop this and play it later, or you might want to get them out, because what you're going to see is very disturbing and could frighten young children. So with that in mind, let's start this. This is from Hillsong London's Easter show in 2016.
Guys!
So I'm going to pause it right there just for a minute. So, because this is just the beginning of it. And, I was talking about this with Sarah, and she was like, look, she's like, I can almost understand why somebody who didn't know better would think that it was a good idea to put a skull in the background because of Golgotha and all of that. Like, that's one thing. But what you're about to see, if you pay very close attention, you're going to see subliminal messaging go through the back, and I want to see if you guys can catch any of it. I've tried to catch some of it. It just moves too fast for my eye to catch it. I'm hoping at some point I can get over here, slow it down, and see what I can find and break this stuff apart. So let's, with that, like I said, very disturbing. I apologize, but this is the kind of stuff that Hillsong's, this isn't even the main Hillsong. This is Hillsong London. And then I've got another clip to show you after that, so just bear with me. And I love the question the guy puts on the screen. Where are you gathering? Like, guys, it matters what building you walk into. Like, you have to understand these doorways that you're walking through aren't just doorways into a building. And I think this Travis Scott concert last November 5th proved that. You're walking, there are spiritual doorways and portals that you are allowing into yourself to walk into. You have to be so intentional. You have to stay prayed up. Trust it coming from a guy who has surrounded himself with stuff like this for years. Even the slightest misstep can allow something to get in. So that was just clip number 1. Very disturbing. You can see the people in the background. By the way, if you didn't catch it, the subliminal messaging is literally you have this guy on this cross who I'm assuming is supposed to be Jesus. If you catch the subliminal messaging, it's people laughing at him. Is exactly what it is. There are people laughing and rejoicing. Now, you could say, oh, well, they're trying to show how evil thought it was triumphing. Maybe so. But I think what is actually happening is evil is actually rejoicing in the fact that Jesus was crucified. It's the same with the crucifix that you see on the Pope's little scepter. It glorifies the dead Christ and not the risen Christ, because they don't want you to know, and this is why their dispensationalist movement, which, by the way, I'm learning was created by the East India Trading Company, had something to do with that, apparently. I'm looking more into that. But this is why they created their dispensationalist movement, to hide the fact that the Jesus is risen and is reigning with God right now. They don't want you to see that. They just... Hold on. Sorry, Michael. YouTube was trying not to let you post that, but I think you should be good now, so I apologize. But yeah, no, Michael's absolutely right. Michael says not just once, but to continue to crucify him. That's exactly what it is. They don't want you to know that Jesus is reigning right now, that the head of the serpent has in fact been bruised, because when he comes back, they're going to want you to think that they actually defeated Jesus. That's why they're pushing really hard They're pushing really hard right now for, they want you to think that they found Jesus' family birth site. They want you to think they have his bones. They want you to think all of this stuff. That's why they're pushing so hard for the Shroud of Turin, which did not belong to Jesus, by the way. I would hope all of us would know that. But just in case you didn't, they're pushing for that. They think they've got his bones. They want you to think everything they want. They want you to think that Jesus has been defeated. But all you have to do is open your King James Bible, and you'll know that he hasn't. But check this out, and I can prove that this is what they want. So let's come over here to the next clip. Let me see if I can find it. So check this out. Here's some sun worship, if you guys want to see this. Just so you guys know that I'm not making this stuff up. By the way, I've heard people talk about, I just want to clarify this real quick. I've heard people talk about the cross being a sign of Mithra. And I have to say, I think people take that too far, because there's no question, there's no doubt that Jesus was crucified on a cross, not a stake, a cross. That's the word. It's a cross. However, how can you know the difference between a Christian cross and a Mithra cross? I believe this is how. So check this out. So you see that sunburst behind the cross? That's a good sign that it's Mithra. Oh, goodness gracious.
I serve the Roman Empire.
See, even this guy believes. See, sun worship, and it's pagan. So this one absolutely is terrifying to me. Let me see if I can make sure I can pause it at the right time. So you can see this, it looks like some sort of demon with wings right here. So there's the horns of Venus. You see that? Look at those eyes. Can you see that? If you can't, it's right here, which I mean, I can even see it on this tiny little portion of the screen. Look at that. Those are not the eyes of something godly, but those are the eyes of a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't. So let me see, because I think I missed the one that I wanted to find. Let me come right here, because this is the biggest one to me, and I'm actually glad I missed it, because this should be kept for last.
Luke, who was a physician, describes Jesus as praying so fervently, he considerably weakened Jesus, pain to come. Conscious, stripped of his clothes and handcuffed to a large wooden stake, he would repeatedly, with balls of lead and sheep, allowing Jesus to slump only for a moment with a robe and scepter containing
I mean, to me, this is obviously a satanic ritual. So,
A Roman legionnaire drives a large. Left foot is now pressed backward against moderately flexed. The nails in the wrists are putting pressure on the median nerves. As he slowly sags down with more weight on the
alright,
nails
so
in
he's
the
prepping
wrists,
you, saying, look for the all-seeing eye.
Pain shoots along the fingers and up the arms to explode in the brain. As he pushes himself upward to avoid the stretching torment, there is a searing agony.
This is the judgment. They are watching us and studying our response to this horrific performance. Don't be a Muppet, is what the caption says.
Rigid in pain. Air can be drawn into the lungs, but cannot be exhaled. Hours of limitless pain, cycles of twisting, joint-rending cramps, intermittent partial asphyxiation. Then another agony begins. A terrible, crushing pain deep in the chest. With one, straightens his legs, takes his hands, I commit my spirit to pushing up to inhale. Suffocation, doubly sure of death, and into his heart. The usual crucifixion death by
I wish that my screen, I've got to adjust some things, but there is a picture where it closes up on Jesus' face, and I couldn't see it, so I couldn't stop it to pause. But essentially what happens is it flashes, and then when you watch the flash, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye comes up, and the guy even pauses it so you can see the all-seeing eye. So let me... But what I'm going to do, because unfortunately I can't find it, even though I watched this video like 20 times last night to memorize the timestamps, you know, the stuff that I was seeing is just not right. See. I mean, you know, it's just the stuff that people will do. And like, look, some of these people that are involved, they just think they're trying to put on the most intense show where they can show just, you know, they're in their minds what they've convinced themselves they're doing. And I know this from personal experience. What they're doing is they're convincing themselves that they are trying to put on the most intense show. They're trying not to shy away from the evil because they want to show what Jesus went through. What they don't realize is that because of their state, they, you know, the world we live in has made it's obsessed with magic. It's obsessed with ritual. And the ones that are clearly not adepts, the ones that are not designing this, that's just what they think they're doing. They've convinced themselves in their mind that's what they're doing. Really, they're giving in to their base desires to be mystical and magical and feel like they're important. And it's because of what Paul said. Paul said, I fear that you have been corrupted by the simplicity that is Christ. And, you know, that's all it is. And so I'm going to pick this up and talk into it because I don't want to keep leaning up towards it. So basically, but what you have is you have Luciferians at the top of this. Now check this out, because a lot of people aren't going to believe me. So I'm going to pull this up real quick. All right, there we go. So, let's see. What is that guy's name? And most people, here's the sad thing. I'm about to show this picture, and most people are still going to think that it's hyperbole and that it can't be true. So let me see if I can pull this up. And what astounds me is that people fall for this scam. I'm flabbergasted. And look, here's the thing. It's like, look, I was one of them. I always thought Carl Lentz was problematic. Always. I never liked his preaching style. I thought he was a boaster. He was somebody who was trying to make sure all eyes were on him. He was a textbook narcissist. So, that's why. So let me... Goodness gracious. I hate Google. I really do. I don't know why I haven't switched the course correction radio profile over to DuckDuckGo yet. I really need to do that. That's just ridiculous. So let's try this. See if this works. So I'm not sure if you guys can see this picture very well. But basically what this is Carl Lentz, former Hillsong New York pastor. By the way, the majority of the documentary from Discovery Plus, from what I understand, is about this guy and his double life, where he was having an affair with a Muslim woman. And people are like, you shouldn't put, stuff like this shouldn't be, out in the public. Baloney. Like, when you are putting yourself out in the public, you made the decision already to make your life in scrutiny. I was terrified about doing this for a long time because, just because of the fact that I'm human and I know I'm going to mess up at some point. But, at the same time, those of us who are genuinely trying to follow the true biblical Jesus, we can't let that fear stop us. God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us the spirit, I can't even keep the verse straight in my mind. But, I think you guys get where I'm coming from. So, but look, Jay-Z, if you haven't seen this, let me see if I can pull this up. Just so you guys don't think that, the skeptics that may be watching, check this out. So this, by the way, I can prove to you that Jay-Z is involved in Rosicrucianism. So check this out. So, and this is the perfect picture to show it too. So if you guys don't know who this is, over here on the left, this is Aleister Crowley, who literally called himself the Beast 666, would talk about himself in the third person in his books as the Master Therion, which is literally, the Therion is the Greek word translated beast in Revelation 13. And here's Jay-Z over here in a Do What Thou Wilt sweatshirt. For those of you who don't know what Do What Thou Wilt is, Aleister Crowley went to Cairo, Egypt on his honeymoon. And did he do what most couples do on his honeymoon? Absolutely not. This dude wanted to do a satanic ritual with magic circles, and it's one of the only times, from what I understand, that he actually was visited by a being. Like, he drew pictures of Lamb, this bulbous-headed abomination, but he got visited by a creature named Aiwass. And Aiwass talked to him for 3 days straight and dictated something called the Law of Thelema. Now, the law of Thelema had one rule above all. The cult of Thelema is still alive. Jay-Z would be a part of it. The cult of Thelema above said, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Now, of course, Aleister Crowley was dubbed the most wicked man alive. He was kicked out of the Golden Dawn, from what there's varying stories. But basically, what happened was he was not allowed into the inner circle of the Golden Dawn. And so this made him leave. There's debate on, from what I understand, as to whether or not he was kicked out or if, they did this to force him to leave on his own accord. But the point was it drove him away. He started his own cult. Now, what's interesting to me, like I said, I like to watch movies. I like to look at this stuff. Mark Strong played a character in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie that's actually based off of Aleister Crowley and the Golden Dawn. The only difference is Mark Strong's guy got his way into the inner circle, even though they didn't want him in there. He established a coup. I believe that at some point this actually happened with Aleister Crowley as well. But what do I know? I wear tinfoil hats around my house with my children because I think it's funny. So just to show you, but so this guy, Jay-Z, you can't make this up. And to give further credence, the guy has a song called Holy Grail, which is absolutely disgusting. And people don't know, they think it's blasphemous, which obviously it is. But this is what I'm trying to tell them. Like, the whole concept of the Holy Grail is blasphemous, because it is literally the womb. They believe it's the womb of Mary Magdalene. So when you're talking about drinking from the Holy Grail, that's really disgusting. But this is what Rosicrucianists believe. They'll never tell you that to their face, but you can read their stuff and know what they're talking about. Especially if you've got the Spirit of God in you, you'll know that something is not right. Now, we've talked about we've talked about the God in the Lodge thing. Now, keep in mind, Hillsong, here they are doing these satanic rituals. Here they are, hanging out with known Satanists, their pastors. Now, here's what I find interesting is, I told you we would get back to this, and this is going to be the last thing we're going to be able to talk about, and we'll just continue next week. I'm going to finish reading these God in the Lodge articles. We'll start out with that, and then we'll go to the documentary. So, God in the Lodge, you can see it right here. Now, like I said, the Lodge is what the Prime Minister of Australia's house is. Over here, over not too far from where I live in Raleigh, we have the Governor's Mansion. It's kind of like the same thing, but on a more national level. It's like their equivalent of the White House. So, but get this. There's no way that this is a coincidence. Check this out. So this, and I'm not sure if you can see it. This is not a great picture, but this is the Australian Parliament. Now, what's interesting is right in here, there's a glass pyramid very similar to the one in Israel that is on top of this building, and there are 12 steps that ascend to it. Now, many of you who may not know symbology are like, what's the big deal? That's the same symbol that's on the back of the U.S. dollar bill. Why is it in Australia? And I don't know how, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm still learning, but there's somehow I cannot figure out the connection between Australia and America. But I know there is one, because Mike Pompeo, Donald Trump, and Scott Morrison were all petitioning for their embassies to be moved to Jerusalem right around the same time. We eventually got ours in there, but and I think maybe they did too. But this Zionist religion is getting set up, and of course that's the obvious connection. I want to know details because I'm nosy. So let me see if I can find a good picture of this pyramid. Matter of fact, I might need to actually type that in. But here's the interesting thing is, if you look at this from an above point, I kid you not, the streets around Parliament actually make the all-seeing eye and the pyramid. So here it is. Here's a good picture of it. There's the glass pyramid that's on top of the Australian Parliament. So, there's just, guys, there's so much here. And look, here's the Australian Parliament, and an as above, so below kind of thing. So, And by the way, for those of you guys who may not know what as above, so below is that comes straight out of the Zohar. That's a Kabbalistic thing that is just endowed in the occult. So, guys, I mean, look, I'll leave it up to you. I'm just here to present the facts to you. But, make up your own mind. Maybe I'm just full. Maybe I'm full of it. But look, so here's another one. Look at this. You cannot make this stuff up. And there's people, oh, you're reading into it. Yeah, okay, maybe so. I highly doubt it because when it comes to the skeptics, I'm not willing to give you the benefit of the doubt because you haven't studied into this like I have. So, sorry, you don't get the benefit of the doubt on this. Do your research, then we'll talk. But until then, just get out of here with your mess. And the more I think about it, the more it absolutely pisses me off when people, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, which one of us has looked into this, me or you? So, but, oh, come on. I'm just messing. I'm just messing with you guys. Stick around. I want you to learn something. I'm sorry. So, but seriously, do your research. But yeah, guys, that's what I got for today. So, let's see. I'm going to read some of these comments because I get so into this that I never read the comments like I should. So, let's see. I see some stuff about Betty White. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, why wouldn't it be? I mean, she was like the most adorable person in Hollywood, right? She'd be the most unsuspecting. Although I like what Dwight says from The Office. It's the purse that you medium suspect. So I doubt there's any truth to that, but I always thought that was funny because that actually paid off later. But yeah, so guys, I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Like I said, I'm going to jump off of here at 6:00, and I promise I'm going to take them out to go get some food, and then we're going to play golf in the backyard. So I think it was Lydia, my middle child, got a golf set for her birthday yesterday, and she really wants to play it. So we're going to go out there. I played golf in high school, so I'm going to teach them a few fundamentals. So, but guys, thank you guys so much. Like I said, for latecomers, next week's show will be Saturday night at its new time. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We should be in the new room, which has a lot more comfortable sitting. We'll be able to work with some different camera angles, hopefully. And we'll go from there. So, guys, see you next week, Saturday, 9 p.m., right here on Course Correction Radio. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time.